Japan. The year is 1643. High in the mountains of Kumamoto, a narrow path leads to a quiet cave. Inside, an aging samurai sits alone. His armor is gone. His battles are over. His sword rests beside him, no longer stained by war, but polished by time. This man has fought more than 60 recorded duels. He has faced masters, warriors, and men who believed they could defeat him. History remembers only one outcome: he never lost. Most people would expect a man like this to spend his final years celebrating victory. Instead, he chose silence. Day after day, inside a cave called Reigando, he began writing. Not about famous battles, not about legendary swords, not even about how to defeat another person. He wrote about something far more dangerous: the human mind. Because after a lifetime of combat, Musashi realized a simple truth: the hardest opponent is rarely standing in front of us. It's the fear that tells us we're not ready, the ego that convinces us we've already learned enough, the distractions that quietly steal our attention, the hesitation that appears in the exact moment action is needed. Those are the battles every generation must fight. Whether you're a student preparing for an exam, an entrepreneur building a company, an athlete chasing excellence, or simply someone trying to become a better version of yourself. Nearly 400 years have passed since Musashi wrote these words, yet something remarkable has happened. Modern psychology, neuroscience, behavioral science, they continue to arrive at conclusions that echo the same principles hidden inside his book. It's almost as if a samurai living centuries ago understood the human brain long before science had the tools to explain it. Welcome to Bookbyte. Today, we're not just exploring one of the greatest strategy books ever written. We're uncovering 5 timeless principles that have guided warriors, leaders, artists, and ordinary people for generations. Because the Book of 5 Rings was never really about winning battles. It was always about mastering yourself. And every journey toward mastery begins with a single step: the Earth Ring. The Earth Ring. Every civilization has built monuments, great temples, castles, bridges. Some have stood for centuries, others disappeared within a few years. The difference was rarely the beauty of what people could see. It was the strength of what they couldn't, the foundation. Musashi begins his journey with the Earth Ring because he believes mastery follows the same rule. Before you can move with confidence, before you can think clearly under pressure, before you can lead others, you must first build a foundation that cannot be shaken. Today, that advice sounds almost old-fashioned. We live in a world that rewards speed. Social media celebrates overnight success. Everyone is searching for the fastest shortcut, the quickest result, the easiest path. But nature has never worked that way. A tree spends years growing its roots, long before it reaches toward the sky. A skyscraper spends months building underground before a single floor becomes visible. Everything that lasts begins slowly. Modern science tells us the same story. Psychologists studying world-class performers discovered that greatness is almost never the result of sudden talent. It grows from consistent habits repeated over long periods of time. small actions performed every day until they become part of who you are. Musashi understood this centuries before researchers gave it a name. He knew that discipline is not something you find during difficult moments. It is something you quietly build long before those moments ever arrive. Because when life becomes uncertain, people do not suddenly discover courage. They rely on the habits they have practiced every single day. That is why the Earth Ring is not asking us to become extraordinary overnight. It asks something much simpler. What are you building your life upon? Because every decision, every routine, every promise you keep to yourself is another stone placed beneath your feet. And one day, when the storms finally arrive, you'll discover whether you built your life on solid ground. There is something fascinating about the human brain. It doesn't care about your goals. It doesn't care about your dreams. It only responds to what you repeat. Every time you perform the same action, whether it's practicing an instrument, studying every morning, or simply choosing discipline over comfort, your brain strengthens that pathway. Neuroscientists call this myelination. With every repetition, the brain wraps those neural pathways in a protective layer, allowing signals to travel faster and with greater precision. In simple words, what you practice becomes easier, and eventually it becomes part of you. This is why elite athletes still practice basic movements, why concert pianists repeat scales they've played thousands of times, why surgeons rehearse the same procedures over and over again. They understand something that beginners often forget. Mastery is never built on complexity. It is built on simplicity, performed consistently. Musashi lived nearly 4 centuries before brain imaging existed. Yet somehow he understood this truth. He warned against chasing advanced techniques before mastering the basics, because under pressure, people don't perform at the level of their potential. They perform at the level of their preparation. Think about the moments when life suddenly became difficult. An important interview, a crucial exam, a business presentation, a life-changing decision. In those moments, you don't magically become stronger. You become exactly who your daily habits have been shaping all along. Perhaps that is the greatest lesson hidden inside the earth. Your future is not created by the occasional burst of motivation. It is created by the ordinary things you choose to repeat every single day. And once your foundation becomes unshakable, Musashi gently leads us toward his second lesson. Because standing firmly on the earth is only the beginning. The true master must also learn to move like water. The Water Ring. If the Earth Ring teaches us how to build a strong foundation, the Water Ring asks a different question. Once you are standing firmly, can you keep moving when the world refuses to stand still? Musashi believed that strength without adaptability eventually becomes weakness. Look at nature. During a storm, the tallest and most rigid trees often snap. Yet the bamboo bends with the wind, and when the storm passes, it rises again. It survives not because it resisted change, but because it accepted it. Water follows the same principle. Pour it into a cup, and it becomes the cup. Pour it into a river, and it flows with the river. Block its path,
and it quietly searches for another way. It never wastes energy fighting reality. It simply adapts. This idea is becoming more important than ever before. The world changes faster today than at any other time in history. New technology replaces old skills. Entire industries disappear. Careers transform within a decade. The people who succeed are rarely the ones who know the most. They are the ones who continue learning after everyone else has stopped. Modern neuroscience explains why. The human brain possesses an incredible ability called neuroplasticity. It constantly rewires itself throughout life. Every new challenge, every unfamiliar experience, every mistake that teaches a lesson creates new neural connections. Your brain is not fixed, it is always changing. The real question is, are you changing with it? Musashi understood that the greatest danger wasn't failure. It was becoming so attached to one way of thinking that you could no longer see another. Because the moment we believe this is the only way, we stop growing. And growth has always belonged to those willing to become something new. That is the beginning of the water ring.
There is another lesson hidden inside water, one that modern science has only recently begun to understand. Most of us believe that intelligence means having the right answers. Musashi believed it meant asking better questions. When a battle didn't unfold as expected, he didn't become frustrated. He became curious. What changed? What did I miss? What is my opponent seeing that I'm not? That mindset is what psychologists today call a growth mindset. People with a growth mindset don't see failure as proof that they aren't good enough. They see it as information. Every mistake becomes feedback. Every setback becomes another lesson. Brain scans reveal something remarkable. When people embrace mistakes instead of fearing them, the brain becomes more active in regions responsible for learning and adaptation. In other words, the people who improve the fastest are often the ones who are least afraid of being wrong. Musashi understood this without laboratories, without brain scanners, without modern psychology. He knew that pride is often a greater enemy than ignorance. Because ignorance can learn, pride refuses to. Look back at history. The greatest civilizations did not disappear because they lacked power. Many disappeared because they believed they no longer needed to change. The same thing can happen to us. The moment we stop learning, we quietly begin falling behind. Perhaps that is why water never stops moving. A river that refuses to flow becomes stagnant. Its water grows cloudy. Its life slowly disappears. The human mind is no different. It must keep moving, keep questioning, keep learning. Because mastery is not a destination you finally reach. It is a lifelong process of adapting to a world that never stands still. And once you learn to move with the calmness of water, Musashi introduces the next challenge. Because adapting to change is one thing, remaining calm in the middle of chaos is something else entirely. That is where the fire ring begins.
The fire ring. If the earth ring teaches us to build, and the water ring teaches us to adapt, the fire ring teaches us what happens when everything is on the line. This is the ring of action, the ring of pressure, the moment when preparation is tested against reality. Anyone can appear confident when life is predictable. Anyone can make good decisions when there is plenty of time. But true character is revealed when the heart begins to race, when the clock is running, and when one wrong decision could change everything. Musashi spent much of his life standing in exactly those moments. Before every duel, he understood something that many people still struggle to understand today. The greatest battle begins long before the first move. It begins inside your mind. Modern neuroscience explains why. The moment your brain senses danger, it activates the amygdala. Your heartbeat rises, your breathing changes, your muscles tighten, your attention narrows. This reaction once helped our ancestors survive wild animals. Today, the brain responds in almost the same way before an important exam, a job interview, a championship match, or even a difficult conversation. The body prepares for survival even when there is no real physical danger. This is why so many people freeze under pressure. They know what to do. They've practiced for years. Yet in the most important moment, their own mind begins working against them. Musashi believed the answer was never to eliminate fear. Fear is natural. The goal is to train yourself so completely that even when fear appears, your actions remain calm. Because courage has never meant the absence of fear. It has always meant moving forward despite it. And that is the first lesson hidden inside the fire ring. When the world around you becomes chaotic, the strongest weapon you possess is a calm and disciplined mind.
There is another reason Musashi called this the fire ring. Fire does two things. It destroys and it transforms. The difference depends entirely on how it is controlled. The same is true for pressure. For one person, pressure becomes panic. For another, it becomes purpose. Have you ever wondered why elite athletes seem almost calm during the final seconds of a championship? Or why experienced firefighters can walk into situations that would overwhelm most people? It isn't because they were born fearless. It's because their brains have been trained to respond differently. Psychologists call this stress inoculation. When we repeatedly practice difficult situations in a controlled environment, the brain slowly learns that pressure is not always a threat. Over time, the same challenge that once created panic begins to create focus. Musashi understood this centuries before science gave it a name. That is why he trained relentlessly, not to make fighting easier, but to make his own mind quieter. Because in moments of chaos, people don't need more information, they need more clarity. Think about the biggest decisions in your own life. How many were delayed, not because you lacked ability, but because you kept waiting for fear to disappear? The truth is, fear rarely disappears first. Action comes first. Confidence follows later. This is one of the greatest misunderstandings about courage. We believe confident people take action. In reality, people become confident because they continue taking action despite uncertainty. That is exactly what fire teaches. It asks you to step forward even while the flames are still burning.
because hesitation gives fear more time to grow. Action gives it less. And perhaps that is why Musashi believed every battle is won twice. First, inside the mind, and only then in the world outside. But even victory has its dangers, because once you understand yourself, there is one final challenge before true mastery. You must learn to understand everyone else. That is the beginning of the wind ring.
The wind ring, after teaching us how to build a strong foundation, adapt to change, and remain calm under pressure, Musashi turns his attention towards something completely different: other people. Most of us spend our lives trying to improve ourselves. Very few spend enough time trying to understand the people around them. Musashi believed this was a dangerous mistake, because no battle, whether in war, business, or life, is ever fought in isolation. Every decision you make is influenced by someone else's decision. Every negotiation, every competition, every conversation is shaped by another human mind. That is why the wind ring is not really about defeating an opponent. It is about understanding them. Musashi carefully studied other sword schools, not because he wanted to copy them, but because he wanted to understand how they thought, their habits, their strengths, their weaknesses, their blind spots. He knew something that modern psychology now confirms. Human beings are surprisingly predictable. We all develop patterns. We repeat familiar behaviors. We make the same mistakes. Our brains love routine because routine saves energy. Scientists call these mental shortcuts cognitive patterns. They help us make quick decisions, but they also create blind spots. A skilled negotiator notices them. A great leader notices them. A master strategist notices them. They don't simply react to what people say. They observe why people say it. What are they afraid of? What motivates them? What are they trying to protect? The more deeply you understand another person's perspective, the more clearly you understand the situation itself. Perhaps that is why Musashi spent so much time observing before acting, because he knew that people reveal far more than they realize through their words, their silence, their timing, their habits. The greatest strategists are rarely the loudest people in the room. They are usually the quietest, watching, learning, and understanding long before they ever make their move.
There is one more lesson hidden inside the wind ring, and it may be the most difficult one of all. Before trying to change another person's mind, first understand why they believe what they believe. Today, we live in a world where everyone is speaking, but very few people are listening. Arguments begin before understanding ever has a chance. We judge people by a single opinion, a single mistake, or a single moment. Musashi would have considered that poor strategy, because assumptions are often the greatest enemy of clear thinking. Modern psychology explains this through something called confirmation bias. Once our brains form an opinion, they naturally begin searching for evidence that proves we're right. At the same time, they quietly ignore evidence that challenges us. Without realizing it, we stop seeing reality. We begin seeing only our own beliefs. This is why two intelligent people can witness the same event and walk away with completely opposite conclusions.
They are not seeing the world, they are seeing their own expectations. Musashi trained himself to do the opposite. Instead of asking, "How can I prove I'm right?" he asked, "What am I failing to notice?" That single question changes everything. It turns judgment into curiosity, competition into understanding, ego into wisdom. The greatest leaders share this ability. They don't surround themselves with people who always agree. They actively search for perspectives they might have missed, because they understand that every person sees a different piece of reality, and only by combining those pieces can the whole picture finally appear. Perhaps that is the deepest lesson of the wind ring. Understanding another person is not a sign of weakness. It is one of the greatest forms of strength. Because the moment you truly understand how others think, you stop reacting emotionally and begin responding wisely. And once both the outer world and the people within it become clear, only one lesson remains. The lesson Musashi believed stood above all the others. The final ring, the void.
The void ring. After the earth, the water, the fire, and the wind, Musashi arrives at the most mysterious of all the rings, the void. For centuries, people have misunderstood this word. They imagined it meant emptiness, nothingness, a blank mind. But that isn't what Musashi meant. The void is not the absence of thought, it is the absence of unnecessary thought. Imagine an experienced pianist. Their fingers move across the keys effortlessly. They are not consciously thinking about every note. Or imagine a basketball player taking the winning shot in the final second. There is no time to analyze every movement. The body simply knows. This is the state Musashi was describing, a mind so well trained that action becomes natural. Modern neuroscience calls this automaticity. After thousands of hours of deliberate practice, the brain gradually shifts many complex tasks away from conscious control. Instead of using large amounts of mental effort, those actions become smooth, efficient, and almost instinctive. This is why experienced surgeons can remain calm during operations lasting many hours, why elite pilots can react within fractions of a second, and why world-class athletes often describe their greatest performances with the same sentence: "I wasn't thinking, I was just doing." Psychologists know this experience by another name: flow. A mental state where complete focus replaces distraction, where time seems to disappear, where action and awareness become one. Musashi understood this long before scientists could place electrodes on the human brain. He knew that overthinking creates hesitation, and hesitation creates defeat. Because there comes a point where preparation must end and trust must begin. That is the doorway to the void.
There is one final truth hidden inside the void, and perhaps it is the reason this book has survived for nearly 400 years. Most people spend their lives searching for the perfect strategy, the perfect opportunity, the perfect moment to begin. Musashi believed perfection was never the goal. Clarity was. Because when the mind becomes quiet, something remarkable happens. Fear loses its voice. Ego loses its grip. Distraction begins to disappear. And for the first time, you see reality as it truly is. Modern neuroscience offers an interesting explanation.
Our brains are constantly filled with mental noise, unfinished conversations, future worries, past mistakes, countless thoughts competing for attention every single second. Research has shown that this constant mental chatter consumes enormous amounts of cognitive energy. It makes decisions slower, attention weaker, and judgment less reliable. This is why practices like meditation, deep breathing, and mindful awareness have become part of the training routines of Olympic athletes, special forces soldiers, CEOs, and surgeons. Not because they are trying to escape reality, but because they are trying to see it more clearly. Musashi reached the same conclusions centuries earlier. He understood that the greatest weapon was never the sword in his hand. It was the state of his mind, a mind that remained calm whether facing victory or defeat. Because true mastery is not measured by how often you win, it is measured by how completely you remain yourself, even when life becomes uncertain. Perhaps that is the real meaning of the void, not emptiness, but freedom. Freedom from fear, freedom from ego, freedom from becoming controlled by every emotion that passes through the mind. And when that freedom is finally found, the 5 rings stop becoming separate lessons. They become one way of living.
Connecting the 5 rings. When Musashi finished writing the 5 rings, he never claimed they were 5 separate techniques. In fact, that would completely miss the point. They were 5 parts of the same journey, each one preparing you for the next. The earth ring teaches you to build a foundation, because without discipline, nothing lasting can ever be created. The water ring teaches you to adapt, because the world will never remain the same for long. The fire ring teaches you to remain calm under pressure, because life will eventually test everything you've practiced. The wind ring teaches you to understand other people, because no great achievement is ever accomplished alone. And finally, the void reminds you that mastery is not about controlling the world. It begins by mastering yourself. What makes this remarkable is that modern science keeps arriving at the very same destination. Psychologists tell us that lasting success begins with consistent habits. Neuroscientists show us that the brain changes through repetition and deliberate practice. Behavioral scientists explain that adaptability is one of the strongest predictors of long-term success. Leadership researchers consistently find that emotional intelligence and understanding others create stronger teams than authority alone. And studies on peak performance reveal that the highest levels of human achievement often occur when the mind becomes quiet, focused, and fully present. Centuries separate these discoveries from Musashi's life, yet they point toward the same truth. Perhaps human nature has never changed as much as we imagine. Our tools have changed, our technology has changed, our world has changed. But fear, ego, distraction, discipline, courage, and growth remain exactly the same. That is why the Book of 5 Rings still feels surprisingly modern. It was never written only for samurai. It was written for anyone determined to become stronger than the person they were yesterday. And perhaps that is why its lessons continue to survive long after the battles that inspired them have disappeared.
Final reflection. Before we leave, there is one final question worth asking. What is your sword? For Miyamoto Musashi, it was a blade. For a musician,
it may be a piano. For a surgeon, a scalpel. For an athlete, years of relentless training. For a teacher, the ability to change a young mind. For a parent, the responsibility of raising another human being. Every one of us is fighting a different battle, yet the principles remain exactly the same. Build a strong foundation, adapt when life changes, stay calm when pressure arrives, understand the people around you, and above all, learn to master your own mind. Because history has never belonged to the strongest people. It has belonged to those who continued learning long after everyone else believed they already knew enough. Perhaps that is why the Book of Five Rings still speaks to us today. Not because we expect to become samurai, but because every single day life quietly hands us another battle. Sometimes that battle is fear. Sometimes it is failure. Sometimes it is self-doubt. Sometimes it is simply finding the courage to begin again. Musashi reminds us that victory is rarely a single moment. It is a lifetime of ordinary decisions, choosing discipline over comfort, curiosity over arrogance, clarity over confusion, action over hesitation, day after day, year after year, until the person staring back at you in the mirror is no longer the person you used to be. And maybe that is the greatest lesson hidden within these 5 rings. Your greatest opponent was never another person. It was always the version of yourself that believed you couldn't become more. So, before this story comes to an end, take a moment and ask yourself one simple question. If your life is the battlefield, what is the one habit, the one fear, or the one belief that you must defeat before you can become the person you were meant to be? Because perhaps the greatest victory you will ever achieve will never be over someone else. It will be over yourself. Thank you for joining us on Bookbyte. Until our next journey, keep learning, keep growing, and never stop mastering the person you are becoming.